Hi, I'm Dylan. I'm 31, and I called off my wedding in front of 201 people because my fiancée laughed when her family mocked my mother. The Monday after the non-wedding, I walked into the office like it was just another market open. Pinstripe suit. Coffee in hand. My assistant, Margot, blinked at me like I'd grown a second head. "You're here," she said. "Markets don't care about weddings," I replied. She didn't say congratulations. No one did. The group chat had been quiet, and in finance, silence is louder than bells. What they had seen, though, was the video. I hadn't posted it. But someone did. Someone who filmed it from behind the flower arch and uploaded it to a private link that wasn't private for long. "Groom cancels wedding in Savage, mic drop," was the headline on some gossip blog by Wednesday. I only knew because my junior analyst forwarded it with the subject line, "Respect." I opened the link. Watched myself on screen, suit crisp, voice calm, hands steady. "If you can laugh when someone calls my mother a mistake, you don't get to be my wife." I didn't flinch. Didn't stumble. And most importantly, I didn't go back. The comments were split. Half rooting for me, half calling it cold. But I didn't care about opinions. I cared about math. Math doesn't lie. Lana's family had treated my mother like dirt and laughed about it. End of formula. What I didn't expect was what happened next. Tuesday morning, I got a call from Lana's uncle. Never liked the guy. Always smelled like golf and condescension. He asked to meet. Discreetly. Said it was urgent. Said he had an offer. Curious, I agreed. We met at a bar in Midtown where the drinks cost more than my first spike. He sat down, didn't order. Looked nervous. "I'm here as a neutral party," he said. "No one's neutral in your family," I replied. He smiled like I'd proved his point. "Then consider me the least hostile option." He slid over a folder. Inside, financial statements, assets, and something that caught my eye fast, a shell LLC I'd seen before. One Lana's father used to shuffle money offshore. Not illegal. Not yet. "We want this to go away," he said. "You're practical. Let's be practical." It was a bribe. Not a settlement. They'd been playing rich, but they were leveraged to their eyeballs. If the wedding debacle went to court, or worse, became more public, it could tank everything. Especially if a brokerage firm flagged their attempted smear on me. Which it had. I closed the folder. "This isn't leverage," I said. "This is confession." He blinked. "Excuse me?" I stood. "You just handed me everything I need to burn your family's portfolio to the ground." His face strained. "Dylan, come on." But I was already walking out. I'd come for closure. What I got was ammunition. The folder went into my safe that night. I wasn't out for revenge. But I believe in contingency plans. Because when you show people a boundary, some will step back. Others will try to trip you over it. And Lana's family? They'd never learned to step back. Thursday morning, I got a call from my mother. "Are you sure you're okay?" she asked. Voice soft, but not fragile. My mom doesn't break easy. She bends, adjusts, adapts. Like a nurse on her feet for 12 hours, charting vitals while her own heart quietly aches. "I'm better than okay," I said, pouring coffee with one hand, forwarding emails with the other. "I feel, still, like the ground stopped shaking." She paused. "You always were the calmest one. Even when your dad dropped a wrench on his foot, you were the only 8-year-old I've ever seen bring ice and a socket wrench." We laughed briefly. The kind of laugh you can have when something awful has ended and you're finally past the blast radius. Then she got quiet again. "They sent a letter here." "Who did?" "Lana's family." "No stamp. Just dropped in the mailbox." "I didn't open it." My stomach turned. "I'll come get it." "Already in the trash," she said, sharper now. "This house doesn't keep garbage." That was my mom. 5'4", no filter, and the kind of loyalty you couldn't buy if you tried. Still, I drove over. She made tea. We didn't talk about the wedding. We talked about her hospital, the new nurse manager who thought triage meant putting people in alphabetical order, and a patient who gave her a banana for Christmas because You look like someone who stays up too late. But eventually the silence circled back to me. Are you angry? She asked. I thought about that. Really thought. I'm tired, I said. Tired of being the one who keeps peace by setting myself on fire. She nodded slowly. That's not peace. That's arson with better lighting. We sipped tea and watched the rain hit the window like static. Then her phone buzzed. A number she didn't know. She handed it to me. They won't stop, baby. I answered. It was Lana's brother. His voice was fast, panicked, too bright. Hey, man. Look, this has gotten out of control. You're tanking our name out there, and none of us meant it like that. It was just a joke, you know? No, I said. It wasn't. There was a pause. Okay, but look, we're willing to make it right. We'll issue a joint statement. Say it was mutual. Say you overreacted because of stress. Weddings are stressful, right? That way you don't look like a jerk, and we don't look like racists or classists, or whatever people are calling us. I almost laughed. You want me to help you save face? I want us to move on. I said nothing. Then he made the mistake. I mean, you're a stock guy. You get it. Optics. Narrative. This isn't about right or wrong. This is about perception. I hung up. Then I blocked the number. Then I texted a compliance officer I knew from a regulatory conference and forwarded him that email folder I'd been building. The one with the loan agreement. The offshore account trail. The screenshots. Not to start something. To end it. Because they still thought I was trying to prove a point. They didn't realize the only point I needed to prove was that I wasn't afraid of losing them anymore. Friday afternoon, the market tanked. Not because of me. The Fed whispered something about rates and the whole floor turned into a game of musical chairs with no music. But I was steady. Calm. Clicking through red tickers like they were puzzle pieces falling into place. Until a Bloomberg alert flashed on my screen. Local startup family faces financial scrutiny after wedding fallout. I clicked. There it was. Lana's father's company named. Vague language, of course. Unverified allegations, potential investor concerns, family member linked to viral wedding video. But the implications were there. And I knew who leaked it. Not me. Not directly. But the compliance officer I tipped off? He didn't sit on it. Because when a whistleblower hands you internal docs showing asset misrepresentation on one hand and defamation on the other, you don't file that under family drama. You escalate. That evening my phone rang again. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Lana. Dylan, please. I didn't know about the insider trading rumor. That was my brother, and I told him to stop. But now my dad's under investigation. You have to call them. Say it's a misunderstanding. Say it got messy. Please. You know I didn't mean to hurt your mother. I didn't laugh at her. I panicked. Weddings are pressure cookers, right? I'm sorry. I really am. She was crying. Or trying to. There was a long pause. Then, I never stopped loving you. Doesn't that count for something? I sat there, the phone still buzzing in my hand. Then I played the message again. This time, I listened closely. Not to the apology, but to the construction. I didn't laugh at her. Weddings are pressure cookers. I never stopped loving you. It was all me. Her family, their panic. Nothing about my mom. Nothing about the humiliation. Just damage control disguised as contrition. I didn't call back. Instead, I called someone else. My buddy Tarek, who does forensic accounting for messy divorce proceedings and corporate takedowns. The kind of guy who can trace a wire transfer through 3-shell core while ordering Thai food with his left hand. Tarek, I said. I need you to take a look at some things. He was quiet for a beat. This about the wedding? It's about the people who think they can buy silence. He laughed. I'll set up a secure drive. Forward what you've got. By Saturday, the story had legs. More outlets picked it up. Quiet ones, niche ones. The kind that corporate investors read over dry espresso at 5 a.m. And then, Sunday night, I got a call from Lana's father. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He just said, "You've made your point. How much to bury this?" I stared at my ceiling. "You think this is about revenge?" He said nothing. I said, "You called my mother a mistake. Your whole family treated her like a coat check. You know how these things go." "Yes," I said. "I do. Which is why I documented every step of it." Pause. "You're bluffing." "No," I said. "I'm auditing." Click. Call ended. And that was the moment I knew something had changed. Not in them. In me. I wasn't angry anymore. I was precise. Monday morning, I had 3 new voicemails, 2 subpoena threats that weren't real, and 1 gift basket waiting in the lobby with a handwritten note that said, "Let's put this behind us. We miss you." It wasn't signed. The basket was from a luxury brand that sold apology fruit like it was couture. Grapes big enough to be balloons. A mango that looked like it had been airbrushed. I handed the whole thing to security and said, "If I eat this, I'll need a rabies shot. Toss it." Then I walked into my office and opened a spreadsheet labeled Wedding Cost Recovery, Updated. I didn't build it out of spite. I built it because closure, for me, looks like columns. And every column had a name next to it: DJ, venue, photographer, florist. Invoices paid. Refunds pending. Notes of who tried to flip the story and who just quietly stepped back. I had another folder too. This one labeled The Good Stuff. I know. Not original. But it was for everything worth keeping. The photo of my mom holding a bouquet someone handed her when they thought she was part of the bridal party. The one where she laughed and said, "Oh no, I'm just the ride." A voicemail from my college friend Sam, who I hadn't seen in 2 years but who called to say, "That was the most gangster wedding exit I've ever seen. If you ever go public, I'm buying shares." A screenshot from the venue coordinator who refunded my bar package and added a note. "You handled that with more grace than most people handle champagne flutes." None of it fixed what happened. But it reminded me why I'd done it. Because dignity isn't something you negotiate. It's something you either protect or hand away by degrees until you forget you ever had it. That afternoon, I got a knock on my door. It was Margot. She held a manila envelope like it had started smoking. "Another letter," she said. "Same stationery as last time." I took it. Opened it. Inside 2 things, a check for $75,000, and a typed note that said, "Consider this an end to all further claims. Mutual closure." There was no signature. But the memo line said, "Final settlement." I stared at it. Then I laughed. Quiet, sharp. The kind of laugh you let out when someone really doesn't get it. I wrote void across the check in big, confident letters. Then I scanned it. Then I mailed a copy to my lawyer. Because closure, real closure, doesn't come in the form of hush money. It comes when you can walk past a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and say, "I didn't fold." That night I took my mom out to dinner. Nothing fancy. Just her favorite place with the oversalted fries and the laminated menus from 2009. We didn't talk about Lana. We didn't talk about the wedding. We talked about the nurse who tried to give a patient orange juice with antibiotics and got chased out of the room with a slipper. And at one point, my mom looked across the table, ketchup on her napkin, and said, "You know, you're not just a good son. You're a grown man with a spine." I smiled. And I believed her. Wednesday, I got a letter from the State Regulatory Board. Not about me. About them. Preliminary inquiry opened into possible misrepresentation of assets submitted during private funding rounds. Translation? Someone had whispered in the right ear, and now Lana's father's startup was under official scrutiny. I didn't dance. I didn't grin. But I did forward the letter to my compliance guy with the subject line, "You'll want to see this." I spent the next few hours reviewing quarterly reports and finishing a pitch deck for a client who didn't care that I almost got married last weekend. Which, honestly, was a relief. Then my phone buzzed with a text from a name I hadn't seen in 2 years, Clara. She was my ex before Lana. The kind who teaches you things without trying to, Like how silence isn't always distance, and how kindness is not the same as softness. We ended mutually, on a Tuesday, over curry. No drama. Just two people who liked each other enough not to lie. Her message was simple. Saw the clip. Proud of you. That couldn't have been easy. I stared at the screen a while. Then replied. It wasn't. But it was worth it. She sent back a heart. Not a flirty one. A solidarity one. And weirdly, that hit harder than all the threats, bribes, and fake tears combined. Because people who know you, really know you, don't need an explanation. They just show up with grace. That night, I cleaned out the drawer labeled wedding. Literally. A physical drawer. Stacked contracts, napkin samples, RSVP cards I hadn't mailed yet. One menu that still had the typo where sautéed was spelled Sataned. That one I kept. For comedy. I boxed the rest, taped it shut, and marked it, do not reopen. I meant it. But then something caught my eye at the bottom, a card. Handwritten. Folded in half. A note my mom had tucked into my suit pocket the morning of the wedding. I hadn't read it in the chaos. I opened it. It said, No matter what happens today, you are already the best man I've ever known. That hit me right in the chest. I sat on the edge of the bed, card in hand, and realized that was the only vow I'd needed that day. Not from a partner. Not from a priest. But from the woman who raised me. The next morning, I went into the office and told Margot to donate the wedding PTO days I'd blocked off to the interns. Tell them to take a long weekend. Do something fun. Just not a wedding. She snorted. You sure you're okay? I nodded. I'm better than okay. I opened my email, cleared a few spam messages, and saw one with the subject line, Reputation Management, Urgent. I clicked. It was from Lana's father's publicist. Not lawyer. Publicist. He was panicking now. And that was the first time I allowed myself a small smile, not cruel, just clear. Because I hadn't done anything to them. I'd just stopped letting them do things to me. And they didn't know how to function without someone paying for the rug they pulled out from under. By Friday, the full pivot had begun. Lana's family went from threats to spin controls so fast it gave everyone around them narrative whiplash. First, a press release. I wasn't mentioned by name, but the subtext might as well have been flashing in neon. Family deeply saddened by recent events, values of love and inclusion, regret any unintended offense caused. Unintended. That word hit different when your mom was called a mistaken address on purpose. Then came the influencers. The cousin with 19K followers posted a pastel-filtered photo of the floral arch. Sometimes the best chapters begin when the page rips in half. Hashtag healing, hashtag growth. Healing? They hadn't even paid for the arch. I called the florist and asked her to invoice that cousin for use of the image. She laughed and said, Already did. Good. Meanwhile, my inbox was a surreal mix of brokerage updates and social fallout. One client, a crusty tech founder who once told me I was too young to get real pain, sent a one-line email. You kept your footing. We'll triple your AUM by end of quarter. It wasn't a compliment. It was capital. A bet on character. The irony? My worst day became my strongest close. And just as I was riding that strange high, vindication, not vengeance, she showed up. Lana. Outside my building. I saw her through the glass as I walked out. Same coat she wore when we first met. Beige. Structured. Too expensive for how thin it looked. She saw me and waved once. Hesitant. Like someone testing the temperature of a pool they already know is freezing. 5 minutes, she said. I almost kept walking. But I didn't. Because I wanted to see something, if there was anything left in her that resembled the person I thought I'd loved. We stepped to the side, out of the wind. Her eyes were puffy. Makeup barely holding. You won, she said softly. This wasn't a game, I replied. She looked down. I didn't laugh at your mom. I laughed because I was nervous. I said nothing. She tried again. We were under so much pressure. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to protect you from them. You weren't supposed to protect me, I said. You were supposed to stand beside me. Her lip trembled. I miss you. I nodded. I don't, I said. Not cruel. Just honest. She flinched. So that's it? No. That's the truth. And I think we both know it's overdue. She reached into her bag and pulled out something. The boutonniere I'd worn. Preserved in resin. A tacky little paperweight that was supposed to be a keepsake. I didn't take it. She looked at the flower trapped in plastic. I thought if I saved something, maybe we could come back from it. I shook my head. You're trying to turn this into a love story, I said. But it was a case study. In silence. In permission. In how many cracks you can ignore before the whole foundation gives out. She started crying, but quietly. For real this time, matey. But I couldn't tell anymore. I just said, take care of yourself, Lana. And I meant it. Then I turned and walked away. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt done. And done, when you've been gaslit for months, feels better than any romantic reunion ever could. By Sunday, the silence had settled. The news cycle had moved on. Lana's family was laying low. The startup's website went from innovative financial solutions to under maintenance. Calls stopped. Emails thinned. The group chat I'd left stayed dead. And me? I was back in rhythm. Trading hours. Client calls. The meditative hum of a Bloomberg terminal telling me exactly what the world thinks is valuable today. But late that night, as I was brushing my teeth, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. New area code. I let it go to voicemail. Then curiosity won. I hit play. It was Lana's aunt. The one who made the mistaken address comment. Her voice was different. Unfiltered. Older. Smaller. Dylan. I know you don't want to hear from me. You shouldn't. But I need you to know, I watched the video. And I saw her face. Your mom's. And I've been thinking about it ever since. What I said wasn't just cruel. It was lazy. I thought I was being clever. I thought I was just being the way we are. But I looked at that woman and realized she deserved better than to be mocked by someone who doesn't know how to lift anything heavier than a cocktail fork. She raised you. And you defended her. And I've been sitting here wondering who would ever defend me like that. I'm sorry. I'm not asking for anything. Just. I'm sorry. I sat on the edge of the tub for a while. Then I forwarded the voicemail to my mom. No caption. She replied 2 minutes later with a single word. Heard. Not forgiven. Not forgotten. Just heard. That felt right. The next day, I walked to work instead of taking the train. Cold air. Sharp wind. My jacket flapped open and I didn't fix it. About 3 blocks from the office, I passed a flower shop. Not fancy. Just buckets out front and a hand-painted sign that said, Fresh today, not forever. I went in. Bought a bunch of navy blue hyacinths. The closest thing I could find to the color of my mom's dress that day. Dropped them off at her hospital. Didn't say why. Just texted her, front desk. For the hallway. She wrote back, You're getting sentimental. Should I be worried? I replied, only about how I'm going to top this next Mother's Day. We both left it at that. Later that week, I got a new client. A referral from the same compliance officer I tipped off. He said, Word is you don't flinch when things get ugly. That's what I want handling my portfolio. And here's the funny part. All of this? The drama. The wedding. The fallout. The lies. The half-hearted apologies? It didn't wreck me. It cleared me out. Like a storm that takes the dead branches and leaves the tree stronger. My therapist, yeah, I finally got one, said, You grieve the version of love that kept you small. She was right. Lana loved my ambition, but not my boundaries. Her family loved my wallet, but not my roots. And I had loved the idea of us more than the reality of her. Now, I love quiet mornings. Real laughter. And people who don't flinch when I say no. One more part. Then we're done. 3 months later, I was at a wedding. Not mine. A friend from college. Simple backyard ceremony. Folded chairs. Mason jars. Real joy. No fog machine. I brought my mom as my +1. She wore the same navy dress. Not because she had to. Because she wanted to. And this time, when she smoothed the skirt with her hands, it wasn't nerves. It was pride. The bride's father gave a short toast. Gentle, funny, the kind that makes you realize not all family traditions are designed to sting. Then he raised his glass and said, "To the people who show up. In tuxes or aprons or hand-me-down dresses. The ones who show up are the ones who matter." My mom caught my eye from across the table. We clinked glasses. Later, when the dance floor opened, someone's uncle spun a toddler like a helicopter blade, and the string lights blinked like slow applause. And for the first time in what felt like years, I didn't brace for a comment. A jab. A joke with a cruel hook hidden behind a smile. There was nothing to brace for. Just music, laughter, and a quiet steadiness in my chest. After the party, I drove my mom home. She leaned back in the passenger seat, heels off, humming something from the reception. Then she said, "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I think I am." She smiled. "It shows." When we got to her place, she leaned in, kissed my cheek, and said, "I still have the note you wrote me before your dad's funeral." That caught me off guard. "I was 16. I said. "I barely remember it." "I do," she said. "It said we're gonna be okay, even if we don't know how yet." She paused. "You were right." Back at my apartment, I poured a glass of water, kicked off my shoes, and checked the mail. Inside, a postcard from one of my old clients. She'd retired and moved to Italy. On the back, in shaky cursive, she wrote, "I saw the video. You reminded me of my late husband. He never let people laugh at love." I put the card on the fridge. Next to it, a photo from the wedding, not mine, the one from tonight. My mom in that same navy dress, laughing with a forkful of cake. I smiled. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. This time, I didn't lose anything. I walked away with the one thing I hadn't realized I needed. Myself. I'm Dylan. I didn't get married that day. I got my voice back. My peace back. My mother's pride intact. And a future that no longer requires me to explain my worth to anyone too loud to hear it. Keys earned. Doors closed. Lights on. I'm home.